All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army Match Week 24. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the Premier League, where we will talk about Bournemouth not sucking, Spurs sucking, and Pep throwing minors to the Wolves. Halftime will be an espionage-related weekly what if, plus a TBD on the compliment corner. Round the world, a preview of the final match day of the Champions League group stage, which is coming up on Wednesday. And then stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauty, starting with the man of the hour. Pour one out for the poor ladies of America who will no longer have a chance to biblically meet our friend, Tyler Terrens, as he got down on one knee and proposed to the future Mrs. Terrens. So give us the tea, sir. How did it all go down?
So she knew. She called me out for being weird multiple times in the 10 days leading up to it. So she got her nails done the day before we were going out and everything like that. And I effectively gave away the proposal itself on the day. How I did it, though, I did catch her off guard. We love Monopoly Deal. And for anybody who knows, one of the greatest games of all time. And so I wrote, "Will you marry me?" on one of the cards, took it out of the deck, put it in my pocket along with the ring before we went out to dinner. Played the game, waiting for her to finally get a full set. She got one. I played the card. She seemingly didn't read the card, just gave me her full set and was playing the game and didn't notice. And so I said, can you take a look at the card, please? Big embrace, lots of tears. And then 5 minutes after the embrace, she says, "Can we sit back down and finish the game? Because I think I'm about to beat you." She did not, in fact, beat me. I got the dub. But no, really, really awesome. Super happy. Two surprise engagement parties in two different cities between Cincy and New York. Mitch attended the New York one, which was awesome. Glad to have some representation of the podcast there. But no, pretty cool feeling. And yeah, very excited.
Nice. Well, congratulations. Welcome to hell. Next up, we got Mikey Podcast. How was your first big celebratory riot as an official resident of Philadelphia, Mr. Podcast?
I went outside for roughly 5 minutes and then went back up and shut the door behind me and locked it up.
That was your full experience.
I'm one of those guys that thinks when I hear fireworks, I'm like, that was a gunshot, 100%. I'm one of those guys. So this was a neurotic episode for me.
Okay, all right. Well, it sounds like you got it out of the way, and it's all uphill from here until 2 weeks from now, I guess. Which God knows, God help you. All right. Last up, but never least, of course, Tommy McGunner. Preseason has officially begun this week for Loudoun United. What is the biggest difference for you? You know, as you could say either physically or mentally, but as like a seasoned veteran now versus when you were a young buck all those many years ago. What's the difference? You know, the biggest difference for you in the way you approach preseason these days?
I don't lose sleep over fitness tests.
So beep test, is it your performance that you're worried about, or is it just the nervousness of this is just gonna suck?
It's a combination. Like all locker rooms get into like hyper stress exaggeration mode of like, what's the test, how much running are we going to do, and just like theoretically planning out what it's going to be, practicing it, or just like mentally getting ready for it. And I've just gotten to the point where you just show up, do the test, and get on with actually kicking a soccer ball.
You've been through it enough times at this point that it's old hat. All right. Well, we will move on to the Premier League, where I guess we'll start wherever you guys want. Mikey, where do you want to start? The biggest, most interesting result of the weekend? What are you going to say it is?
I'm going to say the most interesting result of the weekend was that Bournemouth is for real. I really love that one. I think I want to start there because we're gonna, we're definitely gonna get into the big fours and all the games that our clubs were affiliated with. But I mean, I probably could have said that I saw a Bournemouth win coming, but I don't think anybody can claim they saw that coming. What are you guys' thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so 5-0 for anybody who's been living under a rock. The 5-0 Bournemouth just took Forest out behind the woodshed. And this is a Forest team who we've talked about many times on this pod. They are for real. And not only are they for real, they're tough to score on. So scoring 5 was, I don't know. Tyler, what'd you think?
I'm a little pissed, to be honest. I'm a little upset. I thought Forest were for real. I was excited. I wanted them to be a top 4 team, and I was excited for that to be a great game. I wanted to watch that for a number of different reasons. The biggest one being that it was on YouTube TV, and that way I could switch back and forth between what I wanted to. But then I had to go over to Peacock because that game ended up being a pile of crap. So, but I mean, this is also coming off of a win against Newcastle as well. So, like, I don't know what we're shocked by other than the 5-0 scoreline. But, like, the fact of the matter is that a healthy Tyler Adams alongside Christie in the midfield is a problem, is a real problem right now. And that's really, really fun to see. But if you're Forrest, that's embarrassing. And Nuno's got some making up to do this coming week, because that does not look like a team who's ready for, a Champions League push at the end of the season.
So John just asked in the live chat, is Bournemouth the second best team in the Premier League right now? Tommy, your thoughts?
No.
Sam, you should have answered that question. Asking Tommy that was silly.
That's fair.
I'm a little biased there, but both these teams hadn't lost since the last week of November, first week of December, so they're both really hot. It's just like Bournemouth shooters couldn't miss. Like the game wasn't that crazy. They just banged in their chances, and it just completely changed. I actually find I was really looking forward to this game, and I found it to be like moments of amazing brilliance, and then a majority of it just boring. And that's, I think, Forest in a nutshell too, is like, and that's Forest. And then Bournemouth can also do that, where it's like the game's slow, and then bang, it comes to life. And if you're not looking, you're going to miss the good moments. And that's what that felt like today or this weekend.
Bournemouth is just, I mean, I would actually never call Forest just fun to watch for like a casual. I mean, they're good at what they do, but Bournemouth, on the other hand, I actually do enjoy them. I mean, they
Yes.
push, they force, errors, and then they jump on them. That's like their whole sort of MO. And they're doing this, by the way, so we've talked about how good they've been, how hot they've been. They're doing this with, an injury list that is almost as long as Spurs. And now, granted, you could dice that up a little bit and say, are they missing the Van de Vens and the Romeros of their team? And maybe that's not exactly the same. But like the fact that they're doing this with all that players, I don't know, Mikey. What are your thoughts on Bournemouth at this point?
That front four is so fluid that it really doesn't matter who plugs in. Someone's going to be on form. I think this says more about Nottingham Forest than I do Bournemouth. I think the cracks I think they're gonna get found out. I know that this was a lot of fun, but I think this could be a bad run for Forest coming up. That's just my thoughts on that.
I was going to look at what their schedule looks like coming up. So they have, in their next few matches, they got Brighton this weekend, an FA Cup. Then they got Fulham away, Newcastle away, Arsenal. Wow, this really is a tough run. So they got Brighton at home, Fulham away, Newcastle away, Arsenal home, Man City home in their next 5. That is a rough run.
Their next 3 aren't easy either. Ipswich away, United home, Villa away. You get into the wrong spin, and Spurs might actually beat them a couple weeks later.
Right? I was going to go there, so I'm glad you did. Obviously, jokingly, with the way we're playing at the moment. But yeah, Bournemouth, Forest. So, Tyler, you said that they got found out. You think that they're just not for real just because this one result?
I don't know what the stats look like on this, but I don't know how many Champions League sides that you could go back into in the previous years that lost a game 5-0 at any point during the season. I just don't really think that happens to teams that finish in the top 4. I know that that's kind of like a cart before the horse type deal, but like that was, and I totally agree with Tommy too. Like not only was the scoreline wildly disinteresting by the end as well, but the game itself was disinteresting. I would say the Forest are fun to watch against a Big Six club and against a club that for the most part is going to have the ball, because then that's them sitting in a deeper block and then going on the counter and there's a good flow to the game. But if they're going up against a team like Bournemouth, who's not stringing together, 35, 40 passes and the whole thing, and are trying to create turnovers, deep in the other team's end, like it does look a little wonky. But I don't know, to answer your original question, I just don't see it right now. And if City are going to start to play well, and we're still waiting to see, is City back? Like there might be like a reduced version of that. But if that's the case, then I think you can kiss the hopes of Forest finishing top 4 goodbye.
How injured is Hudson-Odoi? Because Silva's not a top 4 player.
No. I don't know. I don't know what the injury status is.
They literally slingshot forward with those 3 when they lose the ball. I was just for like shits and giggles when you guys were talking about it. I looked at some of the stats for when Forest played Bournemouth earlier in the year. Very, very similar, like XG, number of shots, possession, all this, but it was 1-1. So it did feel like a little fluky or just like very, very, very clinical from Bournemouth, and they are hot right now. Like I'm sure that they've overshot their XG for the last 3 or 4 games, and Kluivert's just on a fucking tear. So that's got to be part of it too.
They even had one ruled out.
Yeah.
Anything else on this one? We move on.
No, it's the most interesting for me, though, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good start.
For sure.
Good start. Okay, Tyler. Now, beyond the Bournemouth spanking of Nottingham Forest, where do you want to go from the weekend?
I would like to go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Fantastic.
Wouldn't we all? Everyone does right now.
It's a great stadium.
Yeah, and it's almost a guaranteed 3 points as well.
3-point lane.
I, just for the record, and I put it in the Discord, by the way, if you're not subscribed to Sam's Army on the Patreon for any other reason than this, like, be a part of the Discord, be a part of the banter, be a part of the best bets, be a part of everything that comes with being able to sort of be a part of this genuine, organic, grass-fed lunacy of a group chat that is the Sam's Army Discord. It's a lot of fun. $3.99. You can head over to our page. It's all over the place, Sam's Army Patreon, and you get full access to the Discord. With that said, I put it in there. I was like, Spurs money line and Brentford money line when the game was 1-0 to Leicester, and then when the game was 0-0 between Brentford and Palace. Brentford come through, and you put the crying face emoji at the Spurs money line, Sam, and rightfully so. What on earth was I thinking? Why would a Big Six club feel, like come back at home against a near relegation side? Why would that happen? You guys, I'll tell you what, Ange and Daniel Levy must have something crazy going on between the two of them, because if this was any other manager, he would have been gone 3 weeks ago. You've had multiple managers fired for way less than what's going on right now. Way less. And not for nothing, all of this talk and all this chatter has been about how many injuries there are on the defensive side of the ball. You finally get Richarlison back. He gets on the score sheet. But other than that goal, what did you create? You guys were missing the final pass before the final pass for the entirety of the 90 minutes. It's not good enough on both sides of the ball now. And my guess, and it's not really a guess, is that he's completely lost the locker room. I just don't think it's there anymore. I just don't.
I mean, this game, not only this game, I mean, it's been several games in a row now where it's just been lackluster from almost the beginning. I mean, I guess you can't really say that about this game, because we did come out and it was like, oh, we look all right. Richarlison scored the goal. In the first half, we were kind of like, all right, this we should win this game by 2 or 3 goals. And then the second half, I don't know what he said at halftime, if he said anything, but whatever it was, don't ever say that again, because they came out just dead. And there was that 5-minute period where Leicester scored 2 goals, both of which were just jokes. Our defense is atrocious. And we could get into just the personnel that they got back there. But Ben Davies is not a Premier League, not a top half Premier League defender. Neither is Dragusin. Those are our 2 center backs right now. So it's a joke. But the fact that they didn't bounce back from that and they showed absolutely nothing for the entire second half, it's hard to argue with you on the fact that there's something, the rot is deep at this point. And I am fully invested in keeping Ange. I think I think we have to keep him. I don't think we have some sort of better alternative ready to go. I think we have to wait till we get Van de Ven and Romero back, which will be in the next, say, week, I think, week to 10 days, and then see what happens. And if I think, honestly, Ange finds himself in a position where he's kind of in like a lucky loser, literally, spot where it's like, yes, we keep losing, but like he has this huge excuse with the injuries. If those guys come back and we click it back into gear, then I think he's safe. If he doesn't, he only gets 1 game, 2 games max with sort of our something close to our first best, our first choice 11. 1 game, 2 games, and then he's gone. Alternatively, if they don't come back, or if they come back too early, we will, well, then we're just absolutely fucked.
The other thing too, though, is that you guys are still alive and not only alive, but in the quote unquote driver's seat in a Carabao Cup and in Europa League. Like, as bad as it is in the Premier League, like any chance of Europe at this point was gone 5 weeks ago. So, like, what are you keeping him on board for? The possibility to win a trophy. And if we know anything, it's that Ange wins, in his second year. So, like, or by his second year, I should say. So, like, I heard somebody saying today, like, you don't really gain anything by firing him now because whatever you want him to accomplish is still on the table.
Yep.
From comparatively what it was 5 weeks ago of potentially getting a European spot. So,
and we can still qualify for Champions League through Europe. I mean, it's still on the table. Obviously, that's our only route.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
I have a question for you, Sam.
Yeah.
Would you say you're more angry? Would you say your outlook is negative? Would you say you're grieving, or are you just exhausted?
That's a good question.
I think that's a good question. I think that my answer is none of them, or maybe all of them. But like, I'm now officially hitting the panic button. Like, up until I think before this game, even after the loss to Everton, I was still like, listen, we're going to beat Leicester. We'll sort of turn it around. The fact we lost to Leicester at home, I mean, sorry, Foxes, but like, that's not something that should ever happen. And yeah, I'm just like sort of surprised, not sad, mad a little bit. The fact that this team just doesn't seem like they have like a real fight in them, which I think, you can put that part of that on Ange. I think you also got to look at guys like Son and Kulusevski and sort of the older players, the veterans, the sort of stars of the team, because that's where that starts. It's not going to start with Dragusin. It's not going to start with,
I have not seen a team come out that poorly at the start of a half.
In the second half. Yeah, it was just
that
gross.
Was horrendous.
I'm glad that you said you're a little bit of all of them. Because, as you know, anger, negativity, grief, and exhaustion spell out Ange, and that's what I'm thinking is what's going on with you right now. So I'm glad we were able to diagnose that one.
How long did you have that set up for? How long have you been thinking about that?
It's taken me about 24 hours.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll give you a little golf clap on that one. Yeah, I mean, it's just we have cup games coming up. We got Hoffenheim in the Europa this week, and then Brentford at the weekend. I mean, just look at this team, though. Look at the team that was out there against Leicester. It's not a team that fights for Europe.
I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of it.
Archie Gray, Ben Davies, Dragusin, Betancourt, Bergvall has been great for us, but like he's not supposed to be a fucking linchpin of our midfield, which he is. I think the people that I'm most disappointed about are the guys like Kulusevski and Richarlison. Let's give him a little time to get back in the squad.
Yeah,
but Son,
don't you can't blame him.
Son and these guys, where's the fight? Where's the anger? Where's the bounce back? Or at least show some heart.
They don't care. They don't want to play for a coach that basically is just saying all the guys on the field currently suck right now. I'm waiting for the guys who are actually good to come back. I wouldn't want to play for that asshole either.
I mean, he's not wrong, though.
It doesn't matter if he's wrong or right. Tommy, if your coach was constantly saying if you were injured or if you were playing a lot and for whatever reason you weren't a starter and a USL championship legend, like, and your coach was constantly saying that.
That sucks ass. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. He has said
Dude,
he has said all the wrong things over the past 3 or 4 months. Everything he could possibly say to upset the establishment, to piss off everybody in the dressing room, to piss off the fans, to piss off the neutrals. He's done it. He's said everything.
Especially when like Gray, Dragusin, Bergvall, Saar, and Kinski are all 22 and under in their first year in the Prem, and you've got to lean on them. You always hear like, "Oh, you got to protect those guys," whatever. He's just fucking.
let them rip.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably. I don't know. It's just whatever he says is now going to be torn apart because we've lost, however many games in a row. So there's nothing he can say that's going to come across.
So I talked about it. I
smart.
talked about it earlier. Forest and Bournemouth hadn't lost since November 23rd. Guess how many Prem games Spurs have won since that date?
What was it?
God.
December 1st?
November 23rd.
Oh god,
Like,
they've won.
I don't know,
2?
0. We've gone 7 games, I believe.
They've won 2, I think,
without a win in the Prem.
In the Prem,
I don't know.
it's
One? Southampton.
Southampton 5-0, and then guess.
those are the games you got to win if you want to avoid relegation.
I know, big one. Guess how many games they've lost in like the 6 or 7 games they've played in Europa, EFL Cup, all those, FA Cup.
How many they've lost?
Yeah,
I don't know, like 0.
yeah.
Ange's got his focus on the cup.
He's
on the
trying
cup.
to win- he's a
trying to
moment's-
win a trophy.
He's a moments coach.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. I just feel like right now, this Brentford game, we could actually lose that game, and I still think as long as we don't have, guys like Romero and Van de Ven back, he could still keep coaching. I don't think he'll get fired.
He could keep coaching.
I like. How do you keep coaching after this many losses? I don't know, but I do think that he will. I don't think he'll get fired if he loses to Brentford, assuming that we're still, in Europa.
I'm still on board for the Amorim Postecoglou swap. I still think that should happen.
I mean, I'm still drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm just mad and obviously know that I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and also feel like, I don't know, I don't have another alternative.
Speaking of Kool-Aid, and this is a nice transition, I am so sick of every single Arsenal fan thinking that the entire world is stacked against them and that Michael Oliver has a conspiracy theory. And
You want to do this now?
I am so beyond sick of it. The amount of people that called into SiriusXM and the amount of things that I see online. I was talking to some Gunner fans that I have, friends of mine, and all they're doing is sending me all of these content creators and, look how many red cards Michael Oliver has given out to Arsenal. Enough. They weeded out the one rat, David Coote, and the one guy who is actually unstable. There's no conspiracy theory. There's none. It just doesn't exist.
You saying the one guy that's unstable is like me believing in fucking Santa Claus, first of all. Second of all, instead of getting into the discussion about unconscious bias, why don't I just ask you, do you think it was a red card?
No.
So what happened?
What do you mean what happened? He made a bad call, and when you look at it in VAR in slow-mo, you could make the argument based upon the fact that it's dangerous play given the fact that his studs are up and he didn't play the ball. I don't know what you want from me. That's a silly challenge that should never be a red card, but at the same time, because the call on the field was red, there's nothing to overturn it because he stomps on the back of his ankle.
So why was it a red? It's a yellow for everyone in every country and everywhere. Why did Michael Oliver give a red card at the Molineux against an Arsenal player?
Why did Liverpool have a goal chalked off because of poor VAR communication?
Well,
we could do this all day.
The answer then would be because it's wrong and there's something going on.
What's going on? I want to hear you.
Bias.
I want to hear you say the words. Why is there unconscious bias
against the PGMOL and Michael Oliver? And now he makes a decision that is never made ever against Mikel Arteta. That's just how people work. They're human beings. I think that there's something deeply rooted about Mikel Arteta in the mind of Michael Oliver.
You think that he's the only one that's been outspoken about the PGMOL?
He's the one that took them to court last year.
It's similar to Coote with Klopp. He just got an agenda against.
He just hates him.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, you think that there's unconscious bias happening here too?
I mean, it's hard. I don't know this for a fact, but with one of these ridiculous calls in the past, and how much it means to the title challenge in the past 2 years, you gotta bet that Arteta said something that probably wasn't well received. Like these guys, I wish we mic'd these guys up just to hear what is said at them. And then I think people would understand the ref's decision-making process. When you've got every curse word under the sun being
Yeah, but
called.
both coaches are typically doing that. That's
Yes,
not like
some are
that.
some are worse though, I think. Or like there's one that's like specifically triggers that person more than another one. I don't know. But I think it's hard not to. Like when you're called some crazy stuff to like not hold an agenda.
Thank you, Adam F. Thank you for that.
Well, listen, Arsenal did overcome the red card.
It's
Got
a
the
mature
win.
foul. It's not incompetent. It's a mature, good yellow.
He's
from a young
he's
player.
18. Any play that he makes on the field is not mature.
It's
number
a mature.
one.
That was a mature challenge.
Probably shouldn't have done it with studs up in the room of the
Yeah,
Evans
just
conversation.
trip him up.
I'm
all
blaming
right.
Trossard for that. We should be able to like retroactively give the red card to the person who messed up technically. So if you give up a crap ball or take a crap touch and your teammate has to take a red or yellow, you should be allowed like one swap. Be like, no, your touch was that bad.
I
You're sent
love
off.
that. I love that.
Ay. All right, now quickly before we move on to the rest of the results, which I think there's at least a couple more that we should touch on. Let's do our promo. Do a quick shout out to Kick It, the all-in-one soccer tennis thing that everybody needs to go buy, and is the sponsor of this episode. One of the sponsors, Tyler. Why should they go buy Kick It?
You should go buy Kick It because before you know it, the sun is going to start shining. It's going to actually bring some warmth. You're going to want to go outside. You're going to want to get some touches in. You're going to want to do something that's a little bit different. You're going to want to do something that's related to the beautiful game that not only your soccer-loving friends who actually played either JV or varsity in high school, but also your friends who got cut from the freshman team as well. Joe, we all know a Joe who's got two left feet. Even he, with the design of the ball in the soccer tennis set provided by our wonderful sponsors, Kick It, even Joe can play. Even Joe is able to be competitive in this. So go buy it. Code SAM25. It's going to give you a nice little discount, and buy it before it's too late, before this limited time offer expires, because it is limited time. Go do it. We love Kick It. We love sponsors that are in line with our values, and vice versa. And why wouldn't you? Silly.
There you go. Kickit.net. I do take umbrage with that two left feet thing, because some of us have two. If we had two left feet, we probably would have gone pro.
You've played with me, okay? You know that I do not use my right foot either. All right, I'm talking about no feet at all.
Fair enough. All right, now quickly, any other results from the weekend? Some of the other ones that just sort of stood out were Fulham losing 0-1 to Manchester United. City, actually, we do have to talk about City. So City beating Chelsea in a rather high-profile matchup, 3-1. Talking points there being, number one, City might be back. Number two, Pep started both his new boys. He got Omar up top and Kuzanov at the center back. And this is a 20-year-old who had just gotten off the flight from Lens, and he was thrown out there. And man, his first 5 to 10 minutes was, speaking biblically, that was bad.
The only other person that I saw had a rougher Premier League debut, who was the Chelsea central midfielder who lasted all of like 6 weeks? Was it what was his name? Saul? Or something along those lines?
From Atletico?
Yes.
Yeah, Saul.
Yeah, Saul. Saul's Premier League debut was honestly the worst in league history. So this kid's got that going for him, but it was atrocious. By the way, Chelsea are posers. Absolute posers. They were title contenders for 2 weeks.
They've been so hot and so cold. They really have gotten cold now. It's, I guess you just say that posers is a good word for it. I don't know. They have not looked good lately. Yeah, I don't even know what's going on with them. What about City, though? Or is that City maybe being back?
Vardiol was outstanding.
Yep.
There's certain days with City where just because of the quality. I don't think they're back. To answer the question first and foremost, I don't think that they're back. Still don't think they have a holding midfielder that is worth a dime. The thing is, with teams of this quality, there's a guy that can just pop up at any point and just win you a match. And I think Vardiol pretty much did that on Sunday or Saturday.
He was good. And by the way, I gave Kuznov a lot of shit for the way he started that game. He actually, for a 20-year-old who was being thrown to the wolves, literally, like, he actually bounced back okay for the last, say, 44 minutes, because he got yanked in the 54th minute, which is always tough, but obviously he was on yellow cards. That probably played into it.
You were mean. You were very mean.
I was. So maybe this is my way of getting a little, sort of saying sorry.
You feel bad. You do.
I do. I mean, he's 20 years old, and Pep just threw him out there like immediately after he got signed like that. That's tough. That is a tough situation. And I'll say this about him. The first 5 minutes was bad. I mean, it was awful. There's really no sort of defending him. I did like the way that he looked confident. He was trying to make tough passes. His execution obviously was not great, but it just seems like, especially the way he bounced back for the next 40 minutes or so, he's probably going to be just fine. He'll probably be,
not for nothing. I do think that debuting as a center back, especially if you're playing next to somebody who's experienced as a kanji, I would say it's one of the easier positions to make a debut at. Like, I don't know. I just thought
true, but that doesn't mitigate the fact that he's practiced with the team twice, or 3 times.
It's Manchester City. Like, figure it out. Just get the ball off your foot. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't have this level of like empathy for this poor kid who got thrown into the wolves because he played against Chelsea on his opening match day and he like flew in like 24 hours ago. I don't know, man. Kid's probably making 250,000 a week. Like, I just don't feel bad for him. He had the whole country of Uzbekistan riding on his shoulders, and he absolutely shit the bed for the first 10 minutes.
There's definitely a Borat joke there. Yes. We'll leave it at that. I'm guessing he's going to bounce back and be just fine. Quickly on the Fulham United, Tommy, I'll throw this at you. Is United good? Is United bad? Or like what are they?
So I didn't even bother watching this.
You did. Well, I'll say this much: you did not miss anything.
Yeah.
That game was terrible. I want that 90 minutes back.
Actually, I will say I like the fact that Amorim is just like calling it as it is. He's not trying to sugarcoat anything in the press. So you damn well know that he's doing that 10x on the inside. I bet some of the things that he's just like blatantly called people out for has been refreshing for some to hear, but then also it puts everyone else on eggshells. Like, oh God, if I mess up, like he's just going to like say it as it is. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there.
If you're Arsenal, would you take Rashford on a loan right now?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Similar to the Sterling one, I would. And then there's another couple I feel like they've done recently like that from other big teams. I could just be blanking too.
Sterling needs to come to MLS, by the way. His time in Europe, his time at that level is over.
He should just probably hang him up.
He's 30.
But he's been around for so long.
He's 30.
He's on like year 15.
Well, that's what I said that earlier, and that's why like Mo Salah still got legs, because Jose didn't want to play him and Kevin De Bruyne, and so they didn't play earlier in their career. But Sterling is. I think I said this in the group chat. He is portly. I mean, my man is enjoying himself in London.
Can't beat anybody.
Yeah.
Neither can Son. Maybe they're going out to dinner together. All right, we will go to FPL quickly. So this week, man, Mikey just keeps doing. He said he was about to start really pulling away from us a couple weeks ago.
No, this is artificial, by the way. I used a bench boost and I kind of wasted it.
Oh, okay.
I saw that. I did see that.
That's a useful acknowledgement. So you scored the high of the Sam's Army Council of Elders, though. So for the game week 23, you scored 77. Well, so you're up quite a bit. I'm in second. You're up 76 points, if my math's right, on me. I'm followed by Tommy. FCTT is out of the gutter, or out of the.
I'm more than out of the
basement.
gutter. I'm starting to pull away from Mitch a little bit. And keep in mind, I would say like 4 match days ago, I was behind Mitch by like 45 or 50 points. This has been an epic turnaround.
It's
So
15 points.
I have a question. Yeah.
I mean, pulling away comparatively to the fact that I was down by 50 points 4 weeks ago. Jeez,
That's
give me.
fair.
Come
I would
on. I'm
say
like,
you caught
this
him.
is like if Southampton turned it around and got out of the relegation zone in a few weeks. Like, give me a fucking break here.
Question here. Can you play multiple chips on the same week?
No.
I don't think so. I think one's all you can do.
An assistant manager is a chip that you use once.
Yeah, it's a stupid chip.
I don't
So it's not
understand.
like-
And you pick a manager who
Yeah,
is
for 3 games. But then you can't use that chip again?
no.
Definitely
It's a
can't use
dumb
that chip.
I'm not picking Ange. Tell you that much.
No, actually you might have to pick Ange eventually because you get more points for the lower than the table they are.
He might actually be a good pick.
I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like Ruben Amorim is a good pick right now. That's probably your best value.
All right, Sam's Army Podcast League rankings update. Cunnerlingus, Rob Carey still in first place. Shout out, Rob. Major League Soccer, the real one. Fraser Connor is in second. No Hair, No Mo. Christopher Frost in third. Magnets, Patrick Kelly in fourth. Cold Palmer FC. Aditya's TVS is in fifth place.
I think it's Aditya.
Aditya.
He always
Aditya.
does this.
I really can't remember what is right and what's wrong. It's a real problem. All right, we will go to the weekend preview. So there's actually a preponderance of interesting games this weekend. Now there's some that will obviously catch the eye right off the bat. Bournemouth hosting Liverpool, I think, is probably one that will obviously appeal to most people. Arsenal hosting City will appeal to everybody. And then there's some other interesting ones. Forest hosting Brighton, Newcastle hosting Fulham. And then for us Spurs on the bottom half of the table, there's some interesting ones with Everton hosting Leicester and Brentford hosting Tottenham, as I mentioned. So, well, I guess, Mikey, of those, what, you're going to say
I
something?
was gonna say it's a fucking shame Miles Lewis Skelly can't play in this match.
Oh my god.
Wait, did they not challenge it?
They did, and
Not
they
gonna
said
do
they stuck with it.
That's
PGMOL
He's
said,
getting 3
Gosh.
matches for that.
That's wild.
Laugh it up.
stop cheating.
It's Arsenal City. That's the best match of the weekend, and I think Arsenal are gonna drag it to a halt.
They always do. You guys always that's that's how these things always go.
The Arsenal way.
Tommy, any thoughts on Arsenal City?
I think it's gonna be a version of what you saw this weekend versus Chelsea. I think City's found a new formula, and I was gonna touch on it before, but I think it dovetails nicely because it'll be a more interesting battle. I think they should and will continue to use him or Haaland as like a big man hub, like Jokic, and just play into him and have these guys kind of dart off of him and just say from Ederson, like if teams are going to press us super aggressively, super high, we're going to lean into like actually playing over them. And he's talked about it a bit past week or so. And he's very inclined to do that versus former assistants. So I think they'll lean into that. And Gabriel and Arsenal have shown to be uber aggressive on that move, and it's burned them. So I'm scared that it's going to burn them again.
Okay, interesting. Sets up for an interesting matchup anyway. Tyler, what are you thinking about Liverpool and Bournemouth here?
I think that's actually the game of the weekend. Because
I don't disagree with you.
Thank you. But your co-partner over there, who's still just so upset at the fact that your 18-year-old can't play in this fixture, said that was going to be the game of the weekend. Anyway, no, I think that I'm pooping my pants a little bit, and I don't love this matchup at all. I think that they are going to make life difficult for us, and I think that this is going to be similar to the Forest game in the sense that, like, I think that place is going to be absolutely rocking, and I think that Bournemouth are going to come out in the first 20 minutes, all guns blazing, especially Liverpool coming off of a Champions League game in the middle of the week. So yeah, I'm a little nervous for this one, to be completely honest. I don't love this.
Should be an interesting one. I'm definitely excited. It should be a fun one, as opposed to. That's why if I were going to lodge my vote with one of those two, I'd probably go with the Liverpool Bournemouth because Bournemouth is going to make that game fun. Whereas Arsenal is going to try and strangle the life out of that other one. Other games, quickly, Forest Brighton. See if Forest Brighton, by the way, is a team that's just been all over the map this season. Forest, we've talked about, is quite good, but they just got their ass handed to them. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back, especially at home. They're just a tough team. Everton Leicester is a big 6-pointer for at the bottom of the table. Obviously, Tottenham have a lot invested in that game, as we do with Brentford. And like I said, this game against Brentford just feels like a game that we could lose for the 8th time in a row. We haven't lost. We haven't won a game in the Premier League since God knows when, October.
There's no way you guys are favorites. You're saying this like we could lose, as if like, that would be a shock to anybody right now.
It's a fair point. I don't know what the odds are, but I'm sure, we are on the road like this. Obviously, it'll depend on who's healthy.
You guys are underdogs. You guys are plus 205. Brentford's plus 110 to win the game.
Yeah, as we should be, unless we get a whole bunch of guys back, which that would change things. But yeah, I'm not excited about this at all. I haven't been excited about a Tottenham game in months, which sucks. And by the way, one thing that I didn't say before that I really should have, in terms of like who I'm mad at, it's Levy. I think Daniel Levy is the problem here. Like, he has done.
Seems like a good guy.
I'm not a hater. I'm not a Daniel Levy hater. I will give him a lot of credit for what he's done for the club, and obviously the stadium's beautiful, and all that. But like, it's time to take the next step, and I don't think that we ever will with him as calling the shots. So I'm with the people who have. And by the way, it does seem
how are you not a Daniel Levy hater if that's your ultimate conclusion from what's going on?
Because I think he's done a great job. I think he's done a phenomenal job with just cementing us, hopefully, in the Big Six. Like, we weren't there when he's been there for 23 years, I believe. Like, I remember when Spurs were just sort of we were at Everton. We were sort of like a upper mid-table team. And we are, just spending wise and revenue wise and everything like that, we're a Big Six team. Like, we're in revenue wise and money wise, financially, we're up there. Sporting wise, yeah, we suck. So we need to. I think it's time to move on. Checking out the chat real quick. All right, we'll move on to halftime. Or before we jump into the weekly What If, which is a good one, I think, we have a new sponsor, and it's a cool one. So shout out to Arc Designs. This is a company that does some really cool woodworking stuff, and I think, Tyler, tell us all about it here.
Yeah, so this is a family-owned, like very small family-owned company out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to my people here in Cincyland. And so they basically specialized in like personalized, custom laser engraved items. So it includes wood, leather, and acrylic. And basically, like, I think I put it in the Discord, but for those of you who are listening who are not in the Discord, essentially, like, my fiance got me these for my birthday, and I got one. You can get them of stadiums, you can get calendars, you can get tables, and it's like stadiums that are 3D laser printed into coasters, also into tables. And so, like, I have one of Madison Square Garden, I have one of Anfield, I have one of Soldier Field, the Chicago Fire Soldier Field, for those of you who are interested. And they have loads of stadiums at your disposal. Obviously, some of their bigger stadiums and some of the more popular stadiums are NCAA, college football, college basketball, MLB, NFL. But then they also are starting to dip their toe into the soccer world. And so they basically have like over 250 designs that you can choose from. But they also have this really cool feature for no extra charge, where if they don't have one of the stadiums that you want, so let's say you want something really random, you want I don't know, Vicarage Road, for instance. You basically can just put it into the website and say, Vicarage Road, and then you put the team, and they'll create it for you. Obviously, it takes a little bit longer to get it, but they will create that custom design for you. I trade out all of my coasters depending on who's playing. I don't think in a single game that I've used my MetLife Stadium one for the Jets that they've ended up winning a game, but here's to hoping next year, and Aaron Glenn, baby. But anyway, awesome new hardware that we're super excited about, and you obviously can use a discount code. Tap me if this sounds familiar. SAM25. It's going to get you 10% off. Shout out to our awesome new sponsors at Arc Designs, and we're excited for what this is going to bring. Obviously, limited time offer, so make sure you get over there. You get your discount. You get a bunch of stadiums that are sort of close to you or stadiums that you want, and really cool designs, like, especially on the Anfield one, it's like very intricate, and they basically take a look at the blueprints of the stadium and they have it like down to the T in terms of like, where the bigger stands are and everything like that. So really cool stuff, and happy to have them aboard the Sam's Army sponsor train, if you will.
And you just go to Arc Design's website for this, I think?
Yep, arcdesigns.com. And it's all there for you. Sam25, that'll get you that 10% discount. And then if you just play around the website, you'll find basically the part of it where you can insert a stadium that they might not have. But they have a bunch of NFL, NCAA, and stuff that, you would sort of figure that is popular for American sports.
Nice. And for anybody who's going to go check it out, it's Arc is spelled ARCK, by the way, arcdesigns.com. All right. Halftime, where we will start out with weekly what if. If you, Tommy, you can go first on this one. If you had to pick someone from the Premier League, I was going to say player, but you know what? Player or coach, who had to go become an undercover spy, who would it be and why?
I've got a couple routes here. I was just like, it's certainly recency bias. Like, one of the defenders on Bournemouth, I think they've got these like very complex names, like hard to spell, and like various backgrounds, probably speak multiple languages, especially Hoyson. He's Spanish, played in Italy. I think he's Danish citizenship, and then plays in England. But along those lines, I might have to go with Jorginho. I think he blends into a crowd. He speaks multiple languages. He's pretty unassuming in his height and body type, whereas like Hoyson is 6'5". He's going to stick out. So that's why I think I would pick Jorginho. He's got probably different personalities, and knows a lot of languages. So I think that goes far with a spy.
Okay, that is a well thought out, good answer. Mikey, you look like you might have one.
Yeah, every crew needs a tough guy henchman, but not everyone has the poise and control to be consistent. I'm going to take a guy who's been stealing money for a long time from Premier League clubs already, and who underneath his belt and underneath the persona of footballer definitely fits in a gang, and that's Danny Ings. Give me Danny Ings. He's been taking money from Premier League clubs since 2010. Nobody seemed to care yet. You try to tell him no, I bet you he would have something to say back. So that's my guy.
Fair enough. A thief. You're going to the thief route.
Thief.
Tyler, who you got?
I'm going to go with a coach, and I'm going to go with a guy who just looks like your everyday bloke. If you passed him, in the tube, you would not give him a second look. He's a tactician, and he clearly, plans things out ahead, and he's probably going to be that type of guy who's like 17 steps ahead of you, sort of like law-abiding citizen, if you will. I'm going with Graham Potter. New coach of the Hammers, okay? Because Graham Potter is somebody that is just going to blend in. You're going to have no idea, and then bam, you've got a poison dart in your neck and lights out, and that's it. So that's how I feel about that.
I like that one. That's a good one. Let's see. We got compliment corner. Maybe we'll skip it. We did. Oh, you want to do somebody?
We should all say something nice about Ange again.
I feel like he's already had this like every week.
Last week. We did it last week.
Yeah, I just really want to.
I missed it though. I didn't get to partake in it.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hit us with what you got.
I'll go first. He has improved the careers of both Oliver Skipp and Harry Winks during his time at the club. They're now winning Premier League games. They're midfielders on winning Premier League sides.
At Tottenham Stadium, no less.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job developing them into 3-point players.
The way you guys have hijacked this to the backhanded compliment corner is...
I don't know what you're talking about. Tommy, go ahead. What do you got?
You guys have done exceptionally well on Spurs Day.
Thank you. We have done really well.
Way to own Spurs Day in the week.
We've owned it. We made it our own. Tyler, what do you got for us?
So in the long list of coaches that have existed at Tottenham over the past decade, I think that Ange stands out above the rest as somebody who has clearly fostered a very meaningful and deep relationship with Daniel Levy, to the point where he can get away with being 8 points away from relegation in late January, early February, and still keep his job. And I think that that's super impressive. And shout out to Ange's people skills.
And there you go, backhanded compliment corner. I'm not even going to
that was
engage.
legit. That was super legit.
All right, round the world. We got one thing only to get through here, and it is a big one though. Champions League, last match day, so final of the 8 match days of the group stage is going to be played all together on Wednesday, and so
of the year.
it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a hectic one. So, they've got the only teams that have automatically qualified for the final 16 so far are Barcelona and Liverpool. There's 18 teams still alive for the 16 automatic bids. 9 teams have been completely eliminated, so they're out. That includes Bologna, Girona, RB Leipzig. Now, there's 9 teams in which their future is completely up in the air. They could be eliminated, or they could make the knockouts, or at least the playoff for the knockouts. Those 9 teams include some big ones, right? Some big names. Manchester City is among them, PSG, PSV, some Portuguese, Benfica and Sporting Lisbon. Bruges is also among them. So those are the teams that are really sort of in the middle and will be an interesting ones to watch. Now, what game, if you're going to watch one, Mikey, what game are you going to watch on Wednesday?
I don't know how you watch one. I don't even think that's possible. Put me on the spot here. I think I had to write down as you were talking. I haven't gone through and decided who has what to play for. As far as, recent form goes, I would really like to see. Oh man, there's so much. VfB Stuttgart PSG is going to be great. Stuttgart do open up, and PSG need to open up. So I like that one. I think that's the game of the day.
Well, we'll get to my best bets, Ivan Toney's overtrained best bets, soon enough, but I think you may have just called it out there. So the Stuttgart and PSG game is obviously going to be interesting for many reasons. Number one, hopefully 1 million goals, but also those are 2 teams that are among the 9 that could get eliminated and could advance. The other game involving 2 teams that are in that same scenario is Manchester City hosting Club Brugge. So that's another one to watch. And I think, Mikey called this out. And actually, Tyler, you haven't, I don't know if we've gotten your thoughts on this recently. Mikey was suggesting, these last couple weeks people might become out on this new Champions League format because teams might rest some guys. You don't really know exactly what you're playing for, at least fans anyway. What's your thoughts on the format right now? Are you a fan of this new format?
I heard it when he said it, and I initially agreed, but then the amount of jeopardy that exists in these last 2 weeks, I feel like it's kind of hard to not enjoy what's going on right now. I mean, to Mikey's point about which game to watch, I think that's going to be almost it's kind of stressful to have to try to keep an eye on all of these games. But I kind of feel like this is exactly what they wanted, right? I mean, bigger games, more games that mattered. I mean, even the Bayern Munich and Atalanta game, I mean, there's a lot riding on that in terms of Bayern Munich potentially being able to squeeze into the top 9 or top 8 or whatever it is and guarantee a spot into the round of 16, or they could end up in a bad spot playing against a big club in either the knockout round or the next round or the actual round of 16 once they get through that. So I'm kind of in on it. The only thing that's kind of bothering me is how complicated the seeding is for the next round, and then who the guarantees are for seeds 1 through 8, and then who they potentially play for the round of 16. That's the only thing, because we had an email sent to us about it at SiriusXM with genuine language and the jargon that they're using. And you need an advanced degree in mathematics to be able to figure this shit out. So that's the only thing that's bothering me. But the last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of fun games, and my Ivan Toney's best bet is going to feature Man City and PSG. And newsflash, I'm going for broke here. And I just want the world to burn down.
All right. Well, we'll wait for your call on that one till that. Any other games you want to call out, Tommy?
Yeah, there's two that I want to draw attention to, and I like this one because it's like historic clubs that are both kind of playing for something. Villa, Celtic. I just think those are two teams like you'd want to see play each other, in any capacity. And then the other one, I just had it up. Yeah,
I would love to guess.
Zagreb, Milan.
Yeah.
Zagreb can get into it, and then Milan, I think, is trying to lock in a top 8 spot, and it's at Zagreb. So that'll be an interesting one, I think.
Hopefully, Pulisic will be involved. All right. We'll move on to stoppage time. Ivan Toney's best bets is where we will start. And Yachty, my dog, will not shut up. But what are you going to do? So Ivan Toney's best bets. We went 4-1 on the overtrain last week, which not too bad. Not too bad. We'll take that. We'll take that as a win. This week on the overtrain 5-a-sides, we're giving you 1 over Wednesday through Sunday, 1 a day. We're starting, as I've already actually teased, in the Champions League, where Stuttgart hosting PSG will be a million goal fest. Thursday, we're going to Europa League, where Tottenham hosts Elfsborg, and Tottenham's defense needs no introduction. Friday, we're going to Bundesliga 2, Nuremberg hosting Darmstadt. Saturday, we're going to my beloved A-League. Sydney FC hosts Adelaide United. And then finally, in the Bundesliga on Sunday, Leverkusen hosting Hoffenheim. There it is. 1 a day, Wednesday through Sunday. Let's go get rich. Now, Tyler, you already teased your best bet, so why don't you come clean? What do you got for us?
All right. So it's the Draw Apocalypse, featuring 3 of the biggest clubs in the world. Okay. Draw between Man City and Club Brugge. Draw between Dinamo Zagreb and AC Milan. Draw between Stuttgart and PSG. That's going to give you a cool plus 9,100. $5 to win 460. Let's ride. Mikey, what do you got?
I'm not going to get super stretched here. I on the day, make sure you're in our Discord, because I'm probably going to end up sending a round robin of like 10 to 15 goal scorers or assisters or shots on target. But if you want to give me like your best 3, I got 3 guys to score or assist, and I'm going to lock them in as almost automatic here. I really like Florian Wirtz against Prague. They can win, and they're in. If they start Elise, I know the number's not going to be good. Take Elise against Slovan Bratislava. And then the third one is Antoine Griezmann on the road against a really bad Salzburg side that, if you've watched them play, get absolutely battered sometimes by adults. So if you put those 3 together, I think you're going to be around 5-1. That's the biggest one I'm going to go on, but the rest will be on the Discord.
All right, good. A little extra bonus there. Remember, you got to get on the Sam's Arm Patreon so you can get on the Discord. The live chat, or the chat, is always going, during games, before and after games, and usually every morning when everybody starts talking about what their bets are going to be for the day. All right, we will now put a bow on this episode with everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs. I have a couple, but as usual, I don't want to take anybody else's. So, Tyler, why don't you start us off?
So this is going to go to 3 different people, all part of the same club, all part of a ridiculous happening over the weekend. This goes out to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Sergio Conceição, and Mr. Calabria for the coming together that everybody experienced in what was a 3-2 win for AC Milan, but you wouldn't know it based upon the fact that there was a coming together between Conceição and his legendary right back, and for whatever reason, those two basically almost came to fisticuffs on the field. And then Zlatan Ibrahimovic, of all people, was the one who actually had to get involved, and in the locker room, supposedly, according to journalists who saw it, sat down Conceição individually, sat down Calabria individually, made them go own up to it in the press, basically said, this is not good enough. You guys are acting like children. And Zlatan Ibrahimovic, of all people, in his infinite wisdom and Mr. Calm, Mr. Cool, Mr. Collected, who's never had an outburst in his entire career, is the one to settle everything down. And I just find that to be just pure comedy. But AC Milan, very interesting team right now. They are Spurs East, if you will. I mean, they you just never know what you're going to get out of that club.
Well, you get some wins, so they're not fully Spurs
right.
East. And that result, by the way, I believe AC Milan scored 2 goals like in stoppage time to win that game. I think they went in. Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy win. I didn't actually even hear what the explanation was. I saw them going at each other on the field. Wild situation. All right, Tommy, what's your goal?
I got 2. One is Tyler. Congrats, man. Let's give a little golf clap for that.
Golf clap.
Thank you.
But yeah, on to more important things. Elijah Weidner signing for LA Galaxy. New record deal for USL to MLS. And I hope hopefully he does well. He's got some big shoes to fill in their like midfield change, but I think that's a great opportunity. And I would gladly like to see more young guys make that same move.
What was the dollar? Did they release the dollar amount or no? They still not doing
400K.
400. I remember when Mark Anthony Kaye got transferred from Louisville to LAFC, and that was a huge deal, and that was for 100,000.
Yeah, so he was like the first center mid, and then now you're moving on up. Yeah. So yeah, should be a good move for him.
Nice, good shout, Mikey. Who are you going with?
Oh, there's a few here. I think I'm going to give it to Miguel Almiron. Moving back to MLS, going back to Atlanta. Is there a better story than being the guy that brings glory to somewhere, leaves, and then he must have been licking his lips every time they sucked, and then you get the chance to come back. Every big signing, I mean, Thiago Almada's great, but like they haven't found what they had with him, and he knows very well what he's doing publicity-wise with the move. Go where you're loved. I think this is an unbelievable decision, and I'm a fan of it. I just had to give a shout for that.
Fair enough.
My backup was going to be Kyle Walker, but I decided to go against that.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, there's going to be some babies being made in Milan.
All right, you knew you would take that.
Listen, the guy can't keep it in his pants. So I love him. I still love him, but keep it in your pants. All right, my goal is I got one honorable mention. I'm going to give it to Rajan Nangolan.
I left you that one.
Thank you. So he was just. Everybody remembers, he's a Belgian. You remember from the Belgian national team. You probably remember him from one of many teams that he's played on recently.
Great player.
Very, just that dude gets stuck in. He was arrested as part of an investigation into a cocaine trafficking from South America to Europe, which is probably a very bad way to start his stint with the new club that he just came out of retirement to start playing with last week. And that club's name is Lokeren Temps in the Belgian second tier. So he just came out of retirement, scored an Olympico, and then like 2 days later, he gets arrested for being an international, cocaine smuggler. So shout out to him for that. Also kind of raising questions about the Flemish people and their love of cocaine, or at least cocaine trafficking. And I'm using Flemish very liberally here, but like with Nangolan and Quincy Promes, who's actually Dutch, not Belgian. They're both very good soccer players who just happen to, allegedly be, drug kingpins in their spare time, which is an interesting career move. But I'm actually going to give my go to Naomi Girma. So she broke the transfer record and in fact became the first female player sold for 7 figures as Chelsea came in and bought her from the San Diego Wave for $1.1 million. 24-year-old U.S. women's national team defender who has been lights out for years now and is, one of the linchpins of the team at this point. So she's going to go apply her trade in England and, broke the transfer record. Obviously, I'm sure she's going to do great things over there, although it kind of makes you a little nervous that the Women's Super League is buying up all the top-end talent. And in fact, the WSL, there was just another deal announced, I believe today or yesterday, where they came in and bought another women's national team defender, this time Jenna Neiswanger, for $100,000. So yeah, England is rating us of our best defenders from NWSL. Got to start, I don't know, raising the salaries or something. But there we go. That's this week's episode. If you're not on Sam's Army Patreon, please get on it. It's the Discord chat is worth it for that alone. But then you also get Tommy's Talking Tactics, which are blogs that are raising everybody's soccer IQ. And obviously some bonus episodes here and there. So thanks to everybody who's not on it. If you're not on it, get on it now. Patreon.com/Sam's Army. That's all we got this week. Mikey, Tyler, Tommy.
Arc Designs.
Ooh, Arc Designs and Kick It as well. Shout out to them.
Last one is I know you just mentioned it, but on the Discord, I dropped the preview for this week's episode. It'll be about Bournemouth because it is the best game of the weekend.
Well done. Well done.
Arcdesigns.com, ARCKdesigns.com. Go get your coaster, 3D laser printed stadiums. It's great juju to watch Liverpool in the morning with an Anfield with a 3D laser printed blueprint aerial view of Anfield while you're doing it, while you're watching them win the league. By the way, the magic number is now 13 for the Reds to win the Premier League, just so everybody knows.
Oh boy. All right, there you go. Good shout on the sponsors. We will see you guys bigger, better, faster, stronger next week. 106. I thought it was actually longer than that. Not so bad.
No, that was good.